Welcome to Around Kitsap. Today's topic is the Auditor's Office and a recent award that they received in voting. And with me, my guest today, Walt Washington, our Kitsap County Auditor. Welcome, Walt.
Thank you.
And joining Walt and I is Mika White. Mika is on the Voter Access Advisory Committee. Welcome, Mika.
Thank you.
So first of all, let's talk to Walt just a little bit. Walt, you are in the end days of your whole working career.
It's exciting.
You are so lucky. Walt, give us a little, how long have you worked for the county?
I came to work as the chief deputy for Karen Flynn in 2007, January of '07. And then shortly after that, Karen resigned and decided she would retire. And as her chief deputy, I served at the pleasure of. So I either had to run for office or I was out of a job. So it left me very little choice in the matter since I had bills to pay. So I ran for the appointment, and I got appointed and immediately had to run for office in 2008.
One of those quick turnarounds.
Yeah.
Walt has made a big difference in the auditor's office. Attitude, service to the community. We want to thank you for that. And you leave the office in extremely good situation and some very good candidates out there running for your job.
Yes, yes.
So it'll be, number one, we want to wish you well, and we want to thank you for everything you did. Because you're not just a county employee, you are, and voted in by our folks, you've served on numerous boards, and you and your wife, Mary, are very involved in the community. We hope you stay that way.
I think we will.
When you're home.
I think if I had anything else that I was proud of, is when we moved to Kitsap County. It's been a wonderful, wonderful committee of people. We've served the community and we've enjoyed it, so I'm happy. I'm excited about not working.
I bet. Because he's going to fish and drive his big motorhome around and pan for gold. Cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. Well, let's talk about this national award your office received. Number one, Walt, tell us about that award.
Well, you know, we've always tried to be on the leading edge of the voting changes and being a change agent as far as how people vote and how people have access to voting. And this award is given annually. This is the first time this year that they've given this specific award, but we've submitted our efforts to them in the past, and this time they awarded us the award for our accessible voting, so it's exciting.
Very exciting. So you mentioned, or we will mention, the Voters Access Advisory Committee. And Mika, tell us about that committee and just name a few of the names and what's the function of the committee?
Well, certainly. The committee is, primarily we are assisting the auditor's office with coming up with ideas of voting and making voting more accessible. They are very good about listening to our ideas. Because we're the voters. We're going to be the ones that are using the whatever systems are out there, and so they're very good about listening to ideas and implementing ideas. And so it seems like there's nothing that's too big or too grandiose. And we have people that really think outside of the box. Some of the members on the committee are Carol Gray and Cindy Van Winkle. And Karen Fusco.
Great, great. I would imagine the committee's made up of sight impaired, hearing impaired, mobility impaired, pretty broad spectrum of folks, Mika?
Yes, and people who assist those with disabilities as well, that work with others with disabilities. So
that's awesome. So what are some of the improvements that have come about as a result of working with the committee?
Well, our goal was to develop total independence for those with disabilities, to make sure that they could vote independently without any assistance whatsoever. So my goal when talking to the committee members was just that. how can we figure out, how can we partner together to figure out what is the best way to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to vote and also an opportunity to vote independently.
That's great. I wanted to mention that the committee began, it started in 2005, was actually formed 2007. So there's been a lot of years of work on this, on the topic. Is that correct, Walt?
Yes, we started what we thought was small, but we were one of the first counties in the nation to do mobile voting van access, where we equipped a mobile van, a step van into a mobile voting booth, which went around to all the senior centers and a lot of the other agencies where people had disabilities and were mobile, to allow them to cast their ballot electronically or to put their ballot in a mobile
In the
ballot box. Yes. And that expanded into working with the committee to allow them to have Braille access to that, as well as Braille to all the drop boxes across the county.
Excellent. What are the features of the online ballot delivery system, and how do voters go about accessing it?
It's just a web-based design where the voter can put in their name and address and find their ballot. Each ballot style, as we call it, depending on what precinct you live in, there's a specific ballot style for where you live. And for example, if you live in the Bremerton school district and there's a school measure on for Bremerton, only the people in the Bremerton school district could vote on that. Everybody else in the county would not even have that on their ballot. So each ballot style is unique, and with your name and address and your birth date, you can access your particular ballot. And that allows you to complete your ballot online, print it out, and send it back to us.
And send it back. Is the online ballot access available to other voters?
It's available for them to find their ballot and print out their ballot, but to vote it electronically, no, not yet.
Not yet.
That's one of the goals.
Not
Yes.
yet.
Yes.
Keyword, not yet. Mika, you're
Yes.
with us today. What is the role of the committee, and how have they helped improve voter access in our county?
So, so as I said before, the role of the committee is, is to generate those ideas and to see what's already been implemented and to make comment on it and to assist, with improving it. So, for example, the ballot drop boxes did not have Braille on them. Before, of where you need to actually put your ballot. I live near one of those locations where the ballot drop box is. And so to have the opportunity to walk down and be able to slip that into the box and be able to read what's on there, because I'm blind and I'm a fluent Braille reader, so to be able to read it and know where I need to put that has been great. One of the other improvements, I would say is a big improvement, is that we kind of opened it up to other places like the library. There used to not be a ballot drop, or taking the AVUs over the accessible voting units over to the library and to Olympic College. And I hear that that's been really very, very, very successful.
Excellent. Mika shared with us off camera that when she joined the committee, she shared with everybody that she had not voted yet. She had not voted. So,
Ever.
Ever. So the committee was doing the happy dance, because here is a gal that's really going to work through the whole system and from the get-go, and here is, well, it's not a reward because voting is a right that everybody has, but tell us a little bit about your experience the first time you voted, Mika.
I believe the first time that I actually voted was probably in the primary. So it was for me, it was very liberating, because I took the time to do things that I hadn't done before, which was actually take the time to research candidates and research measures, and
Excellent.
Which is another benefit of that website that Walt was talking about.
Oh.
And being able to see like what people's positions were or what have you. So the opportunity to be able to go and to vote and to have that vote, at that time I voted with the accessible voting unit at the library, I believe, and that's where there's a man in the machine talking to you.
That's what I was going to ask.
and giving you instructions to
Excellent.
push buttons, and you have
Excellent.
the opportunity. You're reading the measures. It's reading the measures to you, and you have the opportunity at the end to go back through your ballot, and if you want to change anything, you can do that. And so, instead of having, I think that people that don't necessarily have to deal with never being with having to not have an independently posted ballot might not necessarily understand that a lot of times, and people in our state and all over the country sometimes there are people that have to go and ask someone to cast their ballot, to tell someone what their personal choice is for a candidate. And people might say that they're impartial, but they might not be. Mm-hmm. And you don't, and you might not necessarily know, in my case, for example, if someone is marking down on the ballot what I have told them to mark down. Mm-hmm. And and generally I think the world is a really wonderful place with really wonderful people, but it's that's not the point. It's the principle of being able to know that I'm casting a completely independent ballot without having to tell anybody what my choices are, and I'm exercising my right as an American citizen.
Said.
That's the part that makes your heart go thump.
Yep.
Because I remember the first time we rolled out the test of them being able to enlarge the lettering on the screen to do the Braille printout, and around the room, you could tell that we had made an incredible step for them. And that just really makes your heart go pitter-patter when you know that you've taken that step to make their world a whole lot easier. They have challenges every day, all day.
Yep.
And to take away that barrier for them to vote independently was huge.
Can I talk about our voting party?
Please. Voting party. Oh.
Sounds like it's one of those things I probably should have asked beforehand.
That's okay. Tell us, please.
But it was really awesome because when the 2012 elections came around, and at the time I was president of our local chapter of the Peninsula Council of the Blind, and we had a voting party, and so we just told everyone to bring their ballot envelopes, and we had computers set up with screen readers, and so people could go in and they could independently cast their ballot without anyone knowing what the ballot was, and it could take as long as they needed to, and it was just a time for us to really be able to encourage other people in our county to vote. And the only rule was that you could not, in fact, talk about politics, but you could go and you could vote, and it was just such a special thing, and it was a great opportunity, and it was really, really fun.
That's so great.
And actually, this award is not for us; it's for them, because without that committee and their input, I know that there's elections administrators, not even across the country, but right here in Washington State, who don't feel the same way about allowing people to vote from an accessible position of voting electronically. There's some folks still think that there's challenges with fraud and those but even though there's no evidence, zero evidence that there's any kind of fraud, but they hold your ballot, your vote going into this machine or into cyberspace and being accurate is still a fear for some folks. But when I talk to people like Mika, when I talk to people like Cindy Van Winkle, whom we gave an award for her efforts on that committee this year, it's huge. If you just can talk to the people that you affect by how you do your business, and you see the rewards of their joy about doing that, it's huge. Mm-hmm. It's huge.
Something we all take for granted, the voting process. What stimulated this question was when Mika was talking about the little voice that was helping her doing her vote. we receive, all of us that are registered voters, receive the voter's guide. Is that online for seeing impaired, hearing impaired?
This little guy.
That fabulous.
It's written. It's also accessible online.
That's
All
excellent.
of the ballot measures, all of the candidates, the candidate statements, and we also allow the candidates to do video recordings that we put onto
Excellent.
the internet on our website. So yes.
Seeing
It's
impaired,
wonderful.
hearing
It's
impaired
wonderful.
can have
Yes,
access to
absolutely.
that. That's awesome. That is awesome.
And the little voice, we record all of that. Every measure, every candidate statement, all that is recorded so that when they want to hear it, they can do it. And it's in Braille, so if they want to read it, they can. So we've got it all covered, I think. We're still working on some things.
There's more work to be done, I'm sure. So what are some of the challenges that still exist, and what's the county doing to alleviate them? But let's start with Mika. What are some challenges that still exist, Mika?
Some of the challenges that still exist is that I can print out my ballot, but I still have to like find the envelope that was mailed to me for the ballot envelope, and have that signed and get that somewhere. And I imagine that that's probably difficult for people with ambulatory disabilities as well, with mobility impairments as well. And so to see a fully online system where I've been able to check out the ballot, and as a blind person, if I just print it out, like what if the ink, what if there's no ink in there and I don't realize it, or
Right.
I just
Right.
might not know. So to have a system that is fully integrated online and to be able to submit my ballot that way would be incredible.
That is the challenge. And we're close. We're close. We're there. I think with just a little bit of technology, a little bit of loosening of the reins from the elections community, maybe some federal support, we'll be there. We do that with the military and overseas ballots already. We just need to loosen the controls over the rest of the folks.
On and on.
On and on.
And then there'll be something else and something else. What other improvements is the auditor's office looking at?
The auditor's office or Walt Washington? there is a difference.
Let's say Walt Washington.
Well, if Walt Washington had his druthers, and I've talked about this to the state legislature, folks would be able to vote electronically via their cell phones.
There's an app for that.
There is an app for that. I'm on Team Walt Washington on that one. I say.
We often struggle with that whole challenge of the 18 to 25-year-olds voting. And you don't see an 18 to 25-year-old without one of these attached to their body somewhere. And it's usually in their hand continuously.
Yep.
And they self-picture, they email, they text, they tweet. If we could have an app with this little guy, we'll be there.
Bingo. Then everybody could use it.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's not that you have to, but it gives folks another option. And I think that's the key, is giving folks the other option. We had that whole struggle when we went to vote by mail. People wanted poll sites. We still have their availability of a voting center where they can go in and physically go in and cast their ballot like they did in the old days. But then there's folks that wanted to vote by mail. Then there was a whole challenge of my signature being exposed. We put in drop boxes. So when you have a challenge, our office has always worked really hard to answer those challenges. And this is one of the challenges that we had, is the disability community. And they have stepped up to the plate. And I think with us being open-minded and positive thinking about how we can help them, it's pushed us to where we got the award. It's about being there for them and doing what they ask us to do in a way they ask us to do it. And that's my goal.
Fabulous. Number one, it's getting input from citizens in our community that this topic is important to. Accessible voting. bring those people in that are concerned about that, listen to them, and move forward.
Yeah.
Make progress.
If you don't do anything about it after you listen to them, you've done nothing except listen. We take action.
The award is the Independence Award, and it was presented in San Francisco in July.
Yes.
And it is from the Election Center for and it was for the Innovative Accessible Voting Program. So it is nationally recognized. And Mika, that's got to feel good.
It does. It's so exciting. It's so exciting.
It is.
We work with such wonderful people.
It makes the work even more pleasurable
Yeah,
when you get
yeah.
when you get recognized for doing good work.
And like I said before, it's not me, it's that committee. Yeah, they deserve 110% of their credit for their taking their time,
Excellent.
giving us their ideas, and helping us push.
Very good. I want to thank you for joining us today around Kitsap. Thank you, Walt
Oh, thank
Washington.
you, thank
Mika,
you.
thank you so much. And we
Thank
forgot
you.
to mention your friend Lester. Lester's been so well behaved.
Lester's here.
Lester is your service dog. And
Yes.
how long have you had Lester?
I've had him for 3 years. He just turned 5 in June.
He's an awesome animal.
He is.
He's an awesome animal. Does he allow you to live independently?
Oh yeah, and he's he's a wonderful guide dog, and so I think we make a great team.
You do. And that's what it's about, isn't
That's
it,
right.
Mika?
That's right.
It's a great team. Mika, thank you so much for coming into the BCAT studio. Best wishes, my friend,
Thank you.
in your retirement
I'm
years.
excited.
You
I'm
better
excited.
You're excited, and I'm like, no.
be. Wow, what a great show you did today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time around Kitsap.